nice, but I really want to know where it is live streaming to. Is it my account that has the subscribers? Oh yeah, good, it's fine, it's the one. So I can see it is the one. So it is the white one, it is the white one. Okay, nice. So the streaming link is here. So I don't know why I'm feeling this is not as interactive as I feel it. I usually have my trainings as interactive as possible. So please don't make me feel like I'm presenting. I'm not a presenter. For presenters, you can go for conferences, for congresses, for keynotes, but these are practical sessions. So I hope I'm going to be getting questions as and when they occur. So I think I did this lab last week during the first session. So I will do the challenge lab and see how it goes. So the challenge lab is going to always be based on this business case introduction. So let's just look at the introduction of the business case. So what we are going to do throughout this whole course is you are going to be preparing a solution for a cafe business. You can see by the time we get to module 9, this challenge lab creating a scalable and highly available environment for the cafe. So it's very important that you can see automating infrastructure deployment with cloud formation. There's a guided lab, then there's a challenge lab, then there's so many other labs here. Yes, so you have a lot to do. I need to run a number of labs. So let me see. Let us look at this cafe business case introduction. Hopefully it's not a video. I would prefer it to be, if it's a video, I don't know what I'll do. Okay, you can see it's a video. I can't watch a video. So what I'll do, I'll go back to modules, and then I'll go to, hopefully it has a course introduction, a case introduction, roles, and a module. There it is, the student guide. Yeah, this is what I was looking for. So let's see on the student guide, what is there. But the other way I can do is, I don't know whether I downloaded module 1 files. I think I can just go to my files and download it from my educator files. So as I do that, I think I need to, I'll not do the whole of the challenge lab. I'll just give you an overview of how it should be. Go to student view. Then I'll go to the guided lab for the next module. This is a student view. I hope I'm clear. Hope I'm not having issues with, I can see it is loading a bit slowly. I would have wanted to know whether there's an issue. Where am I? I need to go to module 3, the challenge lab, so that you look at how it looks like. Hopefully I'm still going to be on student view. Good. So I'll start provisioning the resources, because it usually takes a bit of time, like 5-10 minutes, 5 minutes actually. So let me load it, and I click on start lab so that it starts provisioning the resources for the lab. So let it finish loading. Okay. That is a YouTube. This is where the lab is. You can start the lab. I'll be waiting to be told that it is, and then you're going to go through this as we also see. I don't know if I've been able to download my, was I able to download it? Did downloads happen? If I want to download it, something crazy. No, download didn't happen. So does that mean that I'll have to go out of the, anyway, so it is in creation, the lab status. So what we'll do is I will close this. You can always close, you don't have to wait it from here. Then I'll wait for the timer to show me that it started counting down here. When I see 1:59, I'll know that the lab is ready and it is started counting down at the time. So I'll remove my terminal and then I'll go full screen on this. Will I go full screen? Here's my menu. Yeah, I go on full screen. So finally, first of all, confirm that you can see you can see the lab instructions for me. Kindly confirm for me that you can see that on the chart. So for those just going to be watching this on YouTube, today we are doing a bit of the challenge lab just to get an overview of how you do challenge labs. Then we get onto the module 4 guided lab, the guided lab for module 4. And if time allows, you're also going to do the guided lab for module 5. Because in, I think, cloud architecting, you have, I think, more modules, more than 10, 15, if I'm not wrong. So it's important we move at a higher pace on this. So kindly confirm in the chat that you can see my screen and you can see the instructions so that I can go through it. Or you can even confirm audibly if you are having an issue with typing. A good summary. Thank you, William. Maybe William can confirm. Have you done this guided lab, challenge lab during your week of learning? Have you done it, William? During this first week of learning, or you haven't gotten to this point yet?
I've done the guided lab, but the challenge lab, not yet.
Okay, that's okay. Pretty much fine. Okay,
but I will be
good. But have you gone through module 1 and 2? Are you done with your module 1 and 2?
Yeah, I've already done them.
Yes.
I've done them.
Good. You're moving at good. That's fine. You're moving at a nice pace with regards to your learning. So what I can tell you is that create in AWS, this topic is usually the best, the most fundamental, or the best starting point in getting a person is either experienced or even new in AWS to do something practical or to do something with the AWS resources, creating a static website. If you go to any session that they are doing some basics on AWS, most probably the lab will all be about creating a static website, mostly maybe using S3 and setting up the files to be publicly accessible, the bucket becoming publicly accessible, and then serving it maybe through an endpoint, a bucket endpoint, or even a domain. So that is why you can see it is usually the best starting point. And that is why whether you are doing cloud architecting or cloud foundations, you're going to find a lab that is related to creating a static website. But I think for cloud foundations, you're starting with a lab on identity and access management. But later on, you're going to find this topic or this practical session. So let's look at this scenario. Frank and Mother are a husband. Let me just select what I'm reading. So here it is. Frank and Mother are a husband and wife team who own and operate a small cafe business that sells desserts and coffee. Their daughter Sophia and their other employee Nihil, who is a secondary student, also work at the cafe. The cafe has a single location in a large city, and it doesn't have a marketing strategy. They mostly gain new customers when someone walks by and notices the cafe and decides to try it. The cafe has a reputation for high quality desserts and coffees, but their reputation is limited to the people who have visited or who have heard about them from their customers. So Sophia suggests to Frank and Martha that they should expand community awareness of the cafe, of what the cafe has to offer. And the cafe doesn't have a web presence yet. So yes, and it doesn't currently use any of the cloud computing services. So however, that situation is going to change by when you're doing this lab. So what are you going to do? You're going to host a static website using S3. You're going to implement a one way to protect your data with Amazon S3, implement a data lifecycle strategy in Amazon S3, implement a disaster recovery strategy in Amazon S3. So if you're wondering if you're not going to find these in your lab when you're doing cloud foundations, remember this is a cloud architecting lab. So you're going to find these when you're going to have done your cloud foundations, and I run another cohort of cloud architecting after the 5 weeks. So what you'll see in this challenge lab, you'll encounter a few tasks where step-by-step instructions are not provided. Remember this, they are not provided. So what will happen is you must figure out on how to complete the tasks on your own. So you'll use your previous knowledge. I really hope my AWS knowledge is not going to fail me in doing this challenge lab. Kindly note that I've not run it before. I've not done it just before the class, just to be sure of what is going on. So anything that I'm seeing it the first time as I'm seeing it with you. I think I only did it when I was doing the educator course time back. So you can see this is what you need to do. Accessing the console, you click on Start Lab. This will always be there in every lab. You're going to be told what you need to do. You can wait until you see the Start Lab status ready. But what I usually do, I click on Start Lab, then I come start reading, so that even as the lab is being provisioned, I'm not there looking at that circle move around. So I can already see the countdown started because it was 160. So it is 153. So it means that it is already set up. And then I'll click on AWS. So once you click on Start Lab and the counter starts counting up, you can access the AWS Management Console from here. Once you finish the lab, you're going to click on Submit here. So don't submit before you finish the lab. Then all the instructions are always there. Then you'll also see other parts. For example, like if you want to go to actions, you can download starter code. I don't know that you usually need that unless you're told to do so. So yeah, and any grades you're going to see from here. Any questions so far? Any questions so far with regards to what you're about to do with this challenge lab? Any questions so far? If there's no question, you can say clear or type CL, then you can just go on so that I'm sure we are on the same page. And I can also know who are here in person. They have not just joined in and muted their devices and gone away. So maybe you can confirm. Thank you, William. The rest of us kindly do that. Fatma, no. What is the issue? And also the others, you can also be confirming whether it's clear or not. Thank you, Ruth. Samuel, thank you. Oh, you're saying no question. Good, Fatma, thank you. Who else? I think we had other people here. I think we had, I've not heard from Gerald, from Festus. Or did I hear from, and I think from Vincent. Oh, good, Festus. Thank you, Gerald, also. Who else is left? Did I see Vincent? Good, thank you. Okay, I think so. We are all clear. So let's look at this first challenge. So in a cloud architecting, what happens in cloud architecting? You are now being trained to become a solutions architect. What is a solutions architect? A solutions architect is somebody you're going to tell them you're going to be receiving a business case from a client. Then you guide them into architecting their infrastructure, their cloud infrastructure, and deploying their workloads on AWS or any cloud provider. But in our case, obviously, Amazon Web Services. So it's just the way you go to a real estate architect. You tell them, I want a house that is 2-bedroomed, has a washroom in the master bedroom, has a lawn, has a flat roof, or all those things. So once you tell them, they start creating a picture or even a mental picture of how that house should look like. And then they'll be able to tell you, if you want this, you cannot get this and this. For example, you cannot say you want washrooms in all your rooms and outside, and you want the house to fit in a maybe 50 by 100. You'll be told that it's going to be too squeezed, or do this and do that, and or maybe even where it is going to be located, that is going to not be feasible. So all that is what the architect does because of the experience, or maybe what they've learned in class. And that is why you can see you are doing this challenge lab in a business case kind of a scenario. So you can see here, you are being told, Sophia mentions to Nihil that she would like the cafe to have a website that will be visually showcase the cafe's offerings, and to also provide customers with business details such as the location of the store, business hours, as well as the telephone number. So Nihil is happy that she was asked to create the first website for the cafe. So for the first challenge, you will take on the role of Nihil and use Amazon S3 to create a static to create a basic website for the cafe. First of all, you will actually extract the files you need from this lab. In this as you'll extract, and you need to use it. When you're going to extract the files, notice that you have an index and 2 folders that contain CSS files, cascading style sheets for styling, and image files. So let's get onto this. Let me see whether I'll get this. So I can see it's a downloading, not too bad. My network is not too bad. Okay, it is done in 5, 4, 3, 2. I'm taking it too fast, faster than it should. So it's a 21.7 MB file. It's telling I'm going to extract it, then you see what is inside it. So let's look at this. Extract all. Let me extract it here. Don't know what this was that I was trying to download that didn't finish, but you can see 2 folders with CSS. So the first folder has a CSS file, styles.css. The second folder has an images file. I think it has, you can see a coffee shop and some offerings, and you have the index.html. So I can decide to open this up on Visual Studio Code. Let's see. So don't worry, that was another code that I was running somewhere for 600 downloads. So let it open up. I hope so far so good. So you can see we have it here. So if I go to the index.html, don't know whether I can do a live open with live server and see what happens. But since it's a static website, I don't think the server is. So you can see this is how it looks like. Okay, not too bad. Has a contact page, the business hours, and I think that's how it has been set up. So I think let me just get out of the full screen So you can see that is how it is. You come to the cafe, it has the assessment of what it has to offer. But since I haven't taken breakfast, I do not want to look at that too much. So I think that is how it looks like. So I'll stop the live server. And then I'll just go to that. That was in Visual Studio Code. If you make sure you usually set up, you can also set up a lot of the Visual Studio Code. So let's get on with this, that we need to move a bit faster. So I've already downloaded, I've already extracted the files. You've been able to see it. In this task, you'll create an S3 bucket and configure it. So I'll click on AWS here. It will open a new tab with the Management Console. Open the Amazon S3 console, create. Oh, then again, I have a strategy for you to be able to what can I say? To totally understand what you're really doing. For example, the worst thing you can do to yourself when you're doing a lab is, you see, open the Amazon S3 console, then you go and do that. No, that's not how you should do it. For example, you should read this whole task. You can see creating a bucket, an S3 bucket to host your static website. So I read all these, the 3 steps, then I go and try to do them from my mind, the whole 3 steps. You can combine 2 or 3 depending on how your mind retains information, how best. And as you go on, you realize that you can be able to retain more information and more steps in a lab before you have. So if you do it like step by step, you'll be doing it, yes, but you'll be looking like a zombie. So you'll not understand what you're really doing. So no, for me to open the Amazon S3, I'll just have to search S3. So I don't have to go and do this. This one is a very basic step. So only thing I need to do is create a bucket. I know a bucket has to be unique. And then I must disable block all public access. And I should be able to create it in the US East 1 region. And then I'll enable static website hosting. And then I'll use index.html as my index document. So that one is pretty much easy. If you followed my first class last Saturday, I did this step by step. So today we are doing it from our minds or from our understanding. So obviously to open the S3 console, you type S3 under services, under this search bar here on the top. So I'll type S3. I was feeling I should do it elsewhere, but let me just do it this here. So I don't know whether I'll be able to do the whole thing, but I'll see whether I can rush it up fast, because I didn't want to do the challenge lab. I wanted to do the guided labs so that we move, because the challenge labs are for you to see whether you. So there's always this default bucket, just leave it alone. Create your own bucket here under create bucket. You remember that our bucket name has to be unique. So I can maybe write cafe site. Then I put a hyphen. Then I can maybe put my account ID, which I'm sure is going to be unique. So I'll copy my account ID from this top part. And then I'll put it here. And then I've been told I need to put it in US East 1 region, which is fine. It is the default one. Don't go to any other region there. Then I'll not copy settings. I'll enable SELs. SELs really help us in making objects in the bucket public. I'll disable block all public access, as I was told as a tip. Then I'll need to acknowledge that. And then I think I don't know if there's anything else. I don't think I need to do anything on advanced settings. Then I'll just create the bucket. So far, so good, hopefully. So you can see creating a bucket doesn't take too long. So it is here. You can see it is already, where is it? It has objects can be public or public access. So I have the cafe site. I was told to enable static website hosting. So how do I do that? I just go to properties. You can see there are different tabs here: object properties, permissions, metrics, management access points. I don't know whether it's under properties or permissions, but I think it's properties. Yes, my my institutional memory doesn't fail me most of the time. So you'll scroll down. There are a number of different properties. There are properties on bucket versioning, on tags, default encryption, intelligent tiering, archive configurations, service access login, AWS. I'll not talk about each of them right now, but you're going to meet them in other labs. Yeah, so transfer acceleration, object lock. You can see it is even disabled by this lab, request APIs, and static website hosting, which is our property of interest. So I'll click on edit, this part, and then I'll just enable it. It will require me to choose whether I want to do a hosting of a static website or redirect requests for an object. So obviously I'm not doing the second one, I'm actually doing the first one. So I need to type, even though you're seeing index.html here, you need to type it because it is just a placeholder to tell you what you can type. It is a suggestion. So you have to type it. Then maybe if you want, you can put an error.html if you have one, but I think I can leave it at index.html because I don't have an error.html for this case. Let me just put them both as index.html. But you know, if you have an error document, you can put it or you can leave it because you can see it is optional. So I'll just leave it for now. But in practice or in production, it's better you have one for page. Then I'll save changes. So what happens when I enable static website hosting? What I get at the bottom, which you should expect, is a bucket website endpoint, which is very important because it is the bucket website endpoint that is going to act as your temporary domain name if you haven't changed it to a domain name. So if I copy and paste it somewhere, I'm still going to get an error because it is empty. So you can see I'm getting a 403 forbidden, access denied because I haven't added any objects. And again, I've not enabled public access to any objects because there's no objects that exist. So what do? We go back. I think we are now done with the first task, right? I think we've done this. We have opened this console. We've created a bucket. We've enabled static website hosting. So before I go to the third task, is there any question with regards to what I've just done? Any question? Any questions so far? And if there's no question, you can type clear CL or something just to confirm that it was good. So let me just differentiate the first one. So confirm. So you can confirm for me. Thank you, Samuel. What about the rest of us? Let's do this very fast. Thank you, Gerald, Fatma. I think this is pretty much easy for you in this first part. So anytime you have a question, if I'm doing a certain step and you feel that you're not getting what I'm doing, feel free to unmute and pause me or interject me because I'm not doing it for myself. Maybe some of the concepts that I'm taking you through, I'm feeling that maybe they are quite basic, but I might, and maybe my mind might assume that you know some things. So you are free to stop me at any point in time and request for a clarification or a repetition of what, although a repetition might be difficult because once I do something on the lab, I cannot undo it. The only way to undo it is me stopping the whole lab and do it, restarting it again. So I think the only thing will be a clarification. So let's go to task 3. Let's go to task 3. In this task, you'll upload the static web files, upload the index and the CSS in a separate browser tab, open the endpoint for your static. So I'll upload it, then I'll open the endpoint link. So what do I do to upload? I'll go back. So this best place to navigate at the management console easily is the breadcrumbs. This is what we call the breadcrumbs. So I already know I'm inside, I'm under the cafe site. The other place is also the tabs, which is very important. So I can see I don't need to get out of the cafe site. So I'll not need to click on buckets, but I need to add objects. So where will I go? I'll go to the objects tab. Then I'll upload. I know where my files are under downloads. So I'll add files. I'll go static website. Since I've chosen add files, I'll not choose here. I'll go inside the folder, select everything, then I'll choose open. Right? Then I can see I am only getting index.html. So I'll choose add folder because I cannot do the folder. I cannot do add a files feature and upload folder. So I'll upload that. And I'll click for this confirmation. I'll agree. So you can see I'm going to upload styles.css, but it is going to be under a folder called CSS. So that is what it's telling you here. Then I'll add the other folder. The other folder was images. I'll upload that and I'll confirm. So I can already see that all these files are going to be under images. So all of that has been made available. So I'll upload it and you see what happens. I'll upload all those files. Wow, I hope my upload speed is going to be fast. So let's see. Not too bad, 678, but upload is usually can get crazy sometimes. So as it does the upload, let's look. We are sure that we need to open the bucket endpoint. So always leave that tab open so that you don't have to go back to the properties to retrieve the bucket access. The S3 static website hosting endpoint. So you can always leave it open. So where are we? So uploading, answering questions. Answers will be recorded when you choose to click the blue submit button above at the end of the lab. Access the questions in the lab, then choose show. So you choose the access, the multiple choice question links that appear at the bottom. In the page you loaded, answer the first question. When viewing the website after task 3, do you see the page in the browser? Leave the questions web page open in a browser tab, you'll return it later. So I'll click on details. So there's a question here. And then I'll choose show. And then I'll click on access multiple choice questions. So this is what I've just done. For those doing CA, you go to details, you go to show, you're going to get a bit of all the details of AWS, the CLI, the SSH key, the SSO, but you go to access URL, access multiple choice questions. And then you'll have some questions to answer here. Do you see a page in the browser? So let's see, will we see it? Okay, as the upload finished, let's confirm. Yeah, the upload's finished. You can see upload succeeded, view details below. Remember that this is an upload page. So you might be wondering what the hell is going on. I'm not seeing my bucket. So remember to click on close once everything is done. Just click on close here. Then it takes you back to a familiar place. So let's try to see whether we can access. And it's a clear question. So you can see we really can't access it. Why? What is wrong? We actually enabled public access. We've uploaded files. Why are we not seeing the files? So let me say, I'm not sure. I can say, no, the files are not publicly accessible. Then I'll click submit, but I'm not really sure. I don't like filling questions, but let me just see. Yeah. So I think it is not. So the answer is correct. The moment I see these steps that, but don't do what I've just done. Just answer the question and click submit or something. And you're creating a bucket. So you see you're doing task 4, then you have a challenge. I think I'm not going to go through all these challenges and I'm not going to do all this up until I finish the lab. I'm just going to take you through this first challenge, and then I'm going to leave it at challenge 2. That is what I'll be doing in the challenge labs. Because if I do all the challenges for you, you're not going to think. So I'm only finishing up with challenge. So creating a bucket policy. Frank shares a plan of many types of pastries. Create a bucket policy that grants read-only permission to public anonymous by using the bucket policy editor. If you get stuck, refer to examples in the AWS documentation. Obviously, I'll get stuck. So because I've not crammed the policies. So I'll just go to the documentation and get a bucket policy for granting read-only permission to an anonymous user. You can see it is here. So you can see so you can see this is how a policy is usually formatted as a JSON. So you can see the version is this one. This is when the JSON was created. Statement for the SID, public read. What is the effect? You want to allow it. Where, which, exactly, to everything, maybe. Principle, that can always check out on the meaning. For example, principle really means that on this exact file or something. Then action is to get object as well as get the object version. So it is going to retrieve the object itself as well as the version of that object for this policy. Then the resource here is going to put the ARN. The ARN is the unique identifier, which you're going to see where you're going to find it. We are going to remove this part written doc example bucket and put the right one. And you can see it has a slash and everything within that bucket. So let's copy this policy and I'll show you where you are putting it. So let's go to properties again. Scroll down. I think, is it under? No, I think it's under permissions. Yes, under permissions, you have block public access. You can see it is off. Then I'll go to enable using a bucket policy. So I'll click on edit. There's object ownership, there's ACL, there's course, which is still under your challenges. But right now I'm interested in the bucket policy. Remember, they are usually sensitive. If you put a space at the end or have a space at the beginning, it's going to have an issue. So I can see, I can confirm that it is fine. Okay, what have I just done? Did I put the policy? Yes. So you have the ARN has been set up strategically by AWS for me here. So I'll click on that. I've copied it. Remember, I'm removing, don't forget, you don't remove the slash and the asterisk. Then I'll paste it there. Do you see what has happened? It is now there. Then I think network failure. Anyway, so let me just save changes and see what happens. So this is the policy. I'll save changes. First byte. Yeah, you can always get this error. Usually happens when you can see there's a space there. So I remove that space. Always remember that. I ever struggled when I did this lab one time. And the issue was that space. You see, if I undo, there was a space just before. That is what it is telling you. Policies must be a valid JSON. The first byte must be the opening curly brackets. So you have to remove that space. Usually happens when you're copying the code from the policy from the documentation. Then you save changes. Don't know this. You can see now it has worked. So once the policy is in effect, let's see whether we can access the website. And yes, like magic, like clockwork, the policy is enabling us to access the website, although it's not that good of a website in terms of the UI UX, but at least we've been able to do something with regards to the first challenge. So is there some what is the other things on the multiple choice questions? They were those questions. What is another way to ensure maximum protection to prevent accidental deletion? So this one is obviously under the second. Then I think you also have a question. Do you see objects from your source bucket in the destination bucket. I think this one is related to the other challenge. And was the version that you just deleted from your source bucket also deleted from your destination bucket? Yes or no? You're going to answer that, then you submit. Then once you finish that, I think you're submitting per question. So let me submit this and let me see whether that was correct. Answer one submitted, use the browser back button. So I think after I finish all that, I'll submit the whole lab and to do that. So since I'm doing it on student view, I don't want to do it here because it is going to disappear once I'm done. I'll finish up on the other challenges using my educator side of things. Then, yeah, enable versioning. What is the other challenge? Challenge 2. Then you have a challenge 3, optimizing costs using S3 object storage. Then you enhance durability and planning for disaster recovery. Yeah, then you submit your work, then you're finishing. So I'm not going to do all this. This is a challenge lab. That is why it's called a challenge. It's to challenge you. And I'm not the one being challenged. It's you to be challenged as the one doing CA. So I think that really wraps it up with how you do the challenge lab. Just wanted to give you an overview of how you do the challenge lab. Although that doesn't mean I've finished it. I've just done challenge 1. So this, you can see, I think what is there, I've been able to do this. You can see, confirm that the website is now publicly accessible. We've confirmed it. Here it is. But now we have a new business requirement. We need to protect the website data. So how do? You enable versioning. So you'll enable versioning. Notice that after you enable, you can't disable it. Note that after you enable versioning, you can't disable it. So in your favorite text editor, open the index.html, use what, modify the file according to the following instructions. BG color, put aqua is equals to marine, change it to, look for that. Then you change it to this, look for this, you change it to this, you look for this. Look at as that has the embedded CSS code. So this one is that, then you update, then you reload the browser to notice the changes, see the latest version of the index, go to your bucket, list versions, return to the browser and answer the multiple choice questions. What is the another way to ensure maximum protection? Prevent accidental deletion. So you can go to the FAQs if you don't have an idea, just get to know what is another way to ensure maximum protection and prevent accidental deletion of the preserved version. So you can just go to the, so maybe I can look for, maybe you can see durability and data protection. I think it is here. You can see, okay, I think it's security. So there are so many questions here. So let me just say deletion. You can see as the best practice to have a backup, let's safeguard against accidental deletion. So you can see that is the first one. How does versioning protect? When user performs delete, subsequent and version will no longer retrieve. However, all versions that the object will continue to be preserved in S3 and can be retrieved and restored. Only the owner, what. So what was the question? What is another way to ensure maximum protection? And what are the multiple choice questions? Course, cross-region replication, multi-factor. It cannot, obviously it cannot be multi-factor authentication. I don't know if it's going to be a bucket policy or course or cross. So let's see. Let's look at the FAQs again. Where's the FAQs? I think these are the FAQs. Let me go to another accidental deletion. If you want to add another layer, you can use S3 object lock. Is the object lock part of this? I can see this not here. So maybe I can search course. Let me search course. So it is even not in the FAQs. So it cannot be course. that is cross-origin resource sharing. So cross-region replication, that might be it. Let's see. Though don't do that strategy, you can use. So you can see, I think data transfer charges apply. So I think that might be it. But we're going to confirm. But since it's not multi-factor and it is not cross-origin resource sharing, and it's really not about a policy that can ensure maximum protection, using the elimination method, it should be cross-region replication, which I'll submit. But I wish I could do the lab up until the end and see how much I got, but maybe I'll do it later. So, and see what it goes on. So any questions so far? Any questions so far? Any questions so far? Before I head on to a guided lab, which is, I'm going to be super concord fast on them. Okay, it's clear, thank you. Thank you, Gerald. What about the rest of us? Thank you, Ruth. Thank you, Fatma. Well, you can always review these. You can always review these on YouTube when you go back. So I'll end the lab, but that doesn't mean I've finished the lab. I can decide to submit. There's nothing that is going to happen to me. I'm not going to die or something. So let me submit as a test student. I'm sure I'm going to fail it because I haven't finished challenge. Challenge what? Challenge 2, challenge 3, and even challenge 4, which are also part. So let me submit just to see whether we were correct on what we did, or whether the system can also see that we. So it will ask me, are you sure? Because you must be very sure. But we already know I haven't done 3 challenges. So if I fail, don't report to AWS. I actually decided not to finish up. So you can see our submission count. Let's look at the report coming up. This is usually the most boring part to wait for how what you've gotten. But also you can see the answer was to add multi-factor authentication. Wow. So that was the answer. So you can ensure there's maximum protection by doing multi-factor authentication. That will protect your account. Correct. The files do not have any public permissions. So I didn't answer this. I also didn't answer this, but I'll not tell you what it is saying. S3 has been configured. Yes. S3 has a public policy. That is true, but I haven't done the versioning. I didn't do the lifecycle. I didn't do the cross-region replication. So I can be able to see the grade file has been added to my file as a test student. The report file has also been added under somewhere. It has been mounted somewhere. So this is how the report looks like. So you can see I only got, my score is 11 out of 29. These are the tasks that the system was checking against, and you are sure the reason I got this is I didn't do the other challenges. So that is how the lab tells you it marks your practicals. It automatically marks your practicals or your hands-on and tells you where you missed or what you did or you did do right. So I think we can get out of this by ending the lab so that we save on resources and have AWS remove those resources. Then we go to a guided lab, a very fast one, since because of time, I'll only have, I think, around 10 minutes to do this. Then we take a sip of water for around 10. Yes, William, you've tried the lab. Where did you get to? Which challenge? Oh, have you gotten to challenge 2, 3, 4? Did you get to challenge 2, 3, 4? Or you're going to finish the app with it? You can still continue with it, No worries. After the class, I think 1 hour, 60 minutes is a lot to do that. Was it 1 hour 60 minutes? That's 2 hours, right? Doesn't make sense. So yeah. How was it, William? You can tell us. You can unmute. Yeah, please.
I've already done up to the uploading part. I've uploaded the objects, but when I open the website URL, the images aren't visible, but everything else is fine.
So
the images aren't visible.
Can you? Okay, let me just do this. You're using your laptop to also do the the session.
Yes.
So can I give you ability to share your screen? I show you where maybe the issue is. You can maybe look at it.
Okay.
So I've made you co-host. You can share your screen. Let me stop my share. Okay. So first of all, get to your AWS Management Console. Or okay, let's go to the S3 bucket, S3 static, the website URL. You see how it looks like first.
This one, yeah.
Oh yeah, I can see.
Yeah.
Okay, now go to the Management Console. Okay, did you end the lab? Anyways.
No.
So,
it seems
okay, go to images. Go to the images folder. Just click on it. Don't tick it. Yeah, there. Okay. So they are there. Okay. So did you do the bucket policy?
Not yet.
Okay. Click on the back button. I see something on your policies. Just back the back button on the browser. Good. Let it load. Yeah. So this last modified, can you make it smaller? I want to see other columns. Last modified column. Can you make it smaller? Between the way you do it in Excel. Or it can't be made smaller. Or can you scroll across? I wanted to see where you can see the security, whether it has been enabled or something of that sort. So it might be that the index.html has public access, is readable. Okay, good. Let's go to the policy. Go to properties. Okay, that is the issue. Do you see the issue? Just go back to your bucket. Go to that one written ASJ. So the issue is you put your website as a folder. You have to go inside it, right? So you don't, so that you have it directly there. You can see right now, it is, before you get it, you need to remove all that. For example, just click on the bucket there. Yeah, ASJ, whatever, the ASJQ, whatever. Select that, and okay, I don't want you to delete it. There's a way you can move it. Just go directly inside the folder. Just go inside the static website folder. Yeah. Okay. Select everything there using that top checkbox. Yes. Then go to actions. Let's see whether you can move it. Click on that. Yeah, click move. Move there. Yeah. Then I think we'll move it. Scroll down. Bucket. I think click on browse S3. Click on browse S3. Browse S3. You can see out, and don't scroll down. Scroll up. Scroll up. Just scroll up. There's this button written browse S3. Yeah. Choose your. Yeah. Choose. Click on the breadcrumbs. Choose that bucket name. ASJ. Yeah, there. Yeah, exactly. Click on choose destination. Don't choose that. Don't click that. Yeah, choose destination. Then just scroll down and click OK. just scroll down. Scroll down.
Move.
Yeah, click on move. So let's try to refresh the website and see what happens. Okay, first of all, use the static website endpoint. I mean not that one. Go to properties. Just close this part first, or maybe close. Click on close. Then go to properties. Go to ASJ, whatever, because that is the properties of that folder. Go to properties. Get your static website endpoint URL at the bottom. At the bottom, or you haven't enabled static website hosting.
Okay,
enable it.
Enable it.
Type index.html there, then you get on with it.
Save changes.
Yeah, so that is the reason of the challenge, so that you don't forget the steps.
Okay, yeah.
So I think when you've done that, go to the endpoint URL again. Don't go there, just get the URL first. On the scroll down. Under properties. Just under properties. Scroll down.
Okay,
yeah, it is. So you can see you're still getting the 3 forbidden, but you need to put the policy, right? So once you put the policy, everything is going to make sense.
Okay, then.
You
can see
okay,
now.
welcome. Yeah, so I think you already know where to get the policy from, right? Maybe you can do it. Let's finish the whole process, because we have started. For the rest of us who are going to see this, go back to the steps. Do 3 steps.
Do 3.
The steps. There, I think. Go down, click on AWS documentation, that link, hyperlink. So those are some of the different example bucket policies. Choose the one that has, scroll down. Choose the second one.
Granting read-only permission to anonymous user. This one?
Exactly, that one. Okay. No, exactly, that one. Then copy, click that. Go to your bucket on the management console. That one that you're about to click. No, those are the questions. Okay, now go to say permissions. Scroll up, the permissions tab. Go to policies. Scroll down. Edit. Click on edit first. You cannot edit from there. Click on edit first. Yes. Then you can paste it there. Then remove. Don't forget to remove the space. Go to line 1. Line 1. Remove that space.
Okay.
Good. Then save.
Save changes.
Yes, exactly. So what is it saying? A non-error occurred. Okay, what happened? Scroll down. Click on that part written API response. Scroll down. Just scroll down. That one. Policy has in. Sure. We tried to save without putting the ARN. So we need to copy the ARN. Copy the bucket ARN. ARN is a Amazon resource name. Then remove that part written doc example bucket. Or to be precise, you can use remove that up to the opening double quotes. Up to the opening double quotes. Then paste.
I paste the
then save changes.
Sure.
So it has worked. Try to refresh your website. The one that has 3 forbidden. the tab that has 43 forbidden. As William dropped off. Okay, you've stopped sharing your screen. Or is it? Yeah, you can share your screen again. Or what has happened? Yeah. So,
okay, yeah. No, it's
yeah,
working.
so you can see it is now working, right? So I think at least you've gone through that process, and it has really, it might also help someone who was not understanding. Yes. So I hope that really helps you, and as you go on, you do the other labs. So I would advise you don't end the lab, don't end the lab. You can go on with the other challenges within it. But right now, let me take you through the other guided lab. Then we finish the CA class. We take like a 5-minute break, and I go to the CF class where I'll do the IAM. And I'll be needing the CA guys to help me do the CF class, so that they also know how to run a class. So I think you can stop your share. You can stop your share, William. Thanks. Thank you. Okay. I hope that was insightful for the rest of us, how you saw how we tried to resolve the issue that William had. I hope that was insightful. Maybe you can share in the chat and confirm with me whether you got something. But sometimes troubleshooting can only be understandable by the one who is facing the issue. But I hope it was as insightful as it was for me. So I think I ended the lab. You can see the timer is not running, but I'll now move to still modules. You can see time really flies. Damn, when we do a practical, a hands-on session in AWS, time really flies. So, where are we? Where is the other guided lab? What is the next? So you can see this was the challenge lab. So after that, you can see I did as a student. You can see they already told me I failed the challenge lab, where I scored 37.93, but it was because of the time and I was demonstrating. So I need to reclaim my my bragging rights as the best student, as a best student in this class. So, but I'll do that challenge lab later. I'll finish it up. So you can see the other lab, which you're going to understand later on when you go through EC2. So you can see there's a demo on configuring an EC2 instance. Then there's a guided lab on introducing the Amazon Elastic file system. So remember that cloud computing covers 5, I think, core domains. We have the network, we have compute, we have storage, we have database, and we also have security. So those are 5 things that are core part of any cloud computing provider or any cloud computing concept. So I think when you're looking at this, okay, did I? Yeah, I jumped it, or did I? No. Okay, a dynamic website. So it will help us now move this from the static website to a dynamic website when we use EFS. But this is a guided lab. So let's get on to it. I really hope it, let me see how much time it tells me I'll complete. If it tells me I have to complete it in like more than 30 minutes, I'm only going to do the first few steps. Then I'll let the CA guys finish up. You know, a guided lab, as I told you, it really doesn't challenge you because it's all about following the steps. But as I told you, the strategy for you to understand what you're really doing is by combining reading like 3 steps or 4 steps, then go to try out those steps. If you forget maybe the second step, no problem. Just go back and review, read the second, the third, and the fourth, then try to do them. But don't go doing one step. You're not going to be learning. You're just going to be replicating or just copy pasting, or if I can say what, you're just wasting your time. So the only way you'll be able to have it in your memory of what you're really doing is by doing, redoing, as well as trying to put it in your institutional memory. That is why I'm able to maybe help William solve the issue. Because if I didn't understand what is really going on in S3, I might have misguided him or told him this is the issue, yet that is not the issue. And yes, so it's always takes time and practice, as well as you trying to ensure that you do these things the right way. So guided lab on EFS, Elastic File System. So okay, as I told you, the best practice when you're doing a lab, click on Start Lab so that it starts doing those things of provisioning resources, the AWS resources. As long as you don't need the terminal, you can untick it, yeah, so that you remove it from your site. Then when you see this, you don't have to wait for all this to happen, right? You only close it, right? Then you leave it. The only time you'll know that life, okay, not life, the lab has started, or the life of the lab has started, is when you see 150. I can see it's a 2 hour. So that means it's quite a long lab. Okay, it's telling me I'll finish it in 20 minutes. Nice, awesome, awesome. So if it says 20 minutes, it means I'll finish it in 10 minutes. And again, when you go to the YouTube video, you can play it at a slower pace if you want. Then you can be able to hear me talk in slow motion and guide you slowly. But right now I'm going to go faster. So that's just what I'm saying. So again, this is always there, this guide on how to start. So you can always keep it once you understand it. So I'm still waiting. You can see I'm still waiting for it to provision resources. So what are we going to do? We are going to do a guided lab on EFS, and you realize something different about, let me go full screen. You realize something about the CA labs. It doesn't have a lot of introduction stories. They understand that since you have done cloud foundations, if you've actually done it, you already know what EFS is all about. So you don't have to be told, you know what EFS is, this. But if you haven't, you have an idea or you forgot, just Google Amazon EFS. You can see it appears here. And then you can just open it and understand what EFS is all about. So it is a simple serverless set and forget Elastic file system. How does it work? It automatically grows and shrinks as you add and remove files with no need of management and provisioning. So you can see it, you get 5 GB of standard storage for 12 months using the AWS free tier. So if you don't have an account, I would advise, as much as you're going to get those free accounts or federated accounts on the AWS Academy, kindly register for an account. You're only charged $1, which is reversed, just to confirm that your credit card is working. So you can use your Visa credit card or your MasterCard or whichever it is. And then the other thing that you also need to do is ensure that you understand the limits of the free tier. Don't spin up something that is not in the free tier. You'll be charged for it. So always remember, you're going to get 12 months of the free tier, and it's going to really help you in your learning. Again, also, if you're part of the user group, sometimes you may get access to AWS credits. And also when you participate in other things, you can always get credits, which can really help you in your learning, because the account will be with you. But the account that is with AWS Academy, when you finish the lab, when you finish the course, it's not going to be yours. If you don't have access, you will not get. So it's important, if you don't have an AWS account, register for one and get it. Okay. So where are we? The guided lab. I can see it has started counting down. 3 minutes have been eaten up. So I'll click on AWS. so that I get the management console. I think I'll get an error if I didn't log out. So you can see I get this error. So anytime you finish one lab and you go back to this one, remember to log out. So for example, you just click on log out here so that it logs out the other lab. Then I'll go back again to AWS. The AWS button. Okay. So for those who have just joined us, don't worry, you are not late. I was just, if you're doing cloud foundations, that is, I'm just finishing up on a lab, a CA lab, a CA challenge lab, I mean a guided lab. Then we get on to, for the cloud foundations class, we are going to do a lab on identity and access management, which is very easy. And okay, let me not say easy. Easy is relative. Let me say it's quite interesting, because it should be interesting for everyone. That is the best way to put it. Okay, so I think I'm in. That is how your management console looks like. Most of the time you get this, some of the recently visited services here. So let me go to this. So again, you can arrange, always arrange. Since this is a guided lab, it is best practice you arrange it. So you can drag, you can see there's a Chrome feature, you drag your tab and you remove it from the other. Then you can maybe drag it to the side. Then you take this to the side. Then I can remove this button that I don't need. And then I think I can still now scroll down. So, but although sometimes these can be distracting and it can make you miss a certain button. So I usually prefer, you may switch, but try it out. Sometimes it helps you having because the academy actually advises so here. So do not change the region unless specifically instructed. You can always check the region you're in here. US East 1. There are many other regions. You can see even we have an Africa region in Cape Town. The Cape Town region, AF South. Sometimes being in these local regions is usually a bit more expensive. There's also some European regions here. Middle East, AWS opened a new Middle East region in UAE. This one, ME Central. There's also one in South America, all these. So remember that resources are provisioned within that region. So always be mindful and be not conscious of which region you are in every time you open the management console. So creating a security group to access the EFS, the security group. So go to services and I go to EC2. So I think the resources that were provisioned also included the EFS. So let's see. So I'll go to security groups. I'll go to EC2, sorry. So I can choose it here since it is recently visited, or I can just click on search and type EC2. So here it is. Virtual servers in the cloud. So EC2 was the first service that AWS started with. Remember, it was something very interesting about EC2. It was actually designed in Africa. The first ever AWS service. If you follow up on the history of AWS, started out in Africa. But funny thing is, it's now we are now trying to uptake cloud. I don't know whether we are late into the party, but at least we are getting somewhere. Okay. So where are we? Yeah, I'm already in EC2. In the navigation, choose security groups. So this is the navigation pane on the left. I'll choose security group. There are so many others which you're going to understand as you move on, as you understand about AWS and the services around it. So I'll choose security groups as I've been told because of time, because I want us to have a 5 or 10 minute break. Okay, a 5-minute break at around 9:25. Then we get on to from 9:30. We start out on the IAM. Hopefully you are going to finish it by around 10:30, latest 11. And then, yeah, and then you'll be good to go with regards to your live sessions for this. Let me take a sip of water. Okay. Where are we? So we are on the security group. So as I told you, don't do what I just did. Don't read this, then you do it. Try to do this. Then don't read this, then you do it. Then you read this, then you do it. Then you read this, then you do it. The best strategy is, if you can, read these two. Services, EC2, then go to security groups. It will help you cement your understanding on how you navigate to security groups within AWS. So copy the security group ID of the EFS security group to your text editor, security group ID of the EFS client. So let me scroll this. Let me just remove this because I don't need it right now. So you can see this is the one that is written EFS client. So I copy this security group ID. Let me just open Visual Studio Code. I open a new file. I paste it somewhere there. Okay. Choose. So let me just, I've done that, but there's a certain step that you'll see, and you'll see. Let me just do this just fast, then I get the other things. And now let me see whether I can combine 8 and 9. But if I can't, but you can see 8 has what? 3 sub steps. So it's better I do it as it is so that you understand. But let us see whether you can combine 8 and 9. So what are we doing? We are going to create a security group. The name is going to be EFS mount target. These ones we are going to copy. We're going to copy and paste. Don't have to worry. Inbound NFS access from EFS client. Then we are going to have a lab VPC. For those who don't understand what security groups are, you can think of them like firewalls. Think of it like that gate person at your campus, or maybe at the supermarket. They check something, then they allow you in. Maybe they check whether you have any weapons, then they allow you in. Also, when you're leaving, you're supposed to have paid for all the goods. So if there's that device that usually makes a lot of noise when you leave without having maybe having a product disabled from detection because you have paid for it. So think of a security group as such. So then under inbound rules, I'll add a rule, and type will be NFS, source will be custom, and I'll paste the security group there, the group ID. And then I'll click create security group. Wow. So let's do this. So what are we doing in these 2 steps? We're creating a security group, which is called EFS mount target. So what will it do? It will allow NFS access. So it is like a file. It is file system access from Elastic File System clients. Then we're also going to do the inbound roles and everything. So let's do that. Create security group. It's called EFS mount target. Let me type it so that I don't have to go back to my. If I copy paste, I'll lose what I copied, and I don't want to go back to Visual Studio Code to get it. NFS access from EFS clients. So so to change to lab VPC, remember you don't know which the VPC this is. So you'll click on this X, then you look at what is there. So you choose, there's one written a default, there's always a default VPC. VPC stands for Virtual Private Cloud. So it's a logical area, it's a logical space of the AWS cloud that is specific for you and the resources you provision within it. So I'll choose lab VPC. Under inbound roles, I'll add a role. I'll choose NFS. So you can see all these will be in one line. So if, for example, if I maximize this, if I move it, you can see it is moving like that. So this is usually in one line. So all these for one role. It is not 3 roles. So I'll choose, then I'll type NFS. So you can see it has appeared. NFS most of the time is usually in port 2049. Custom, I'll choose custom. Source, I'll paste the security group, and you can see it appears, so you don't choose anything else. You click on that, and then I'll click on create. I think I don't need anything. Outbound is all traffic, usually by default, so there's no issue about that. Then you can create the security group. So when you go in, you're going out, you're allowed to go out. So you can see that is the security group. Then I'll create a file system. So I'll go to services. I'll type EFS. So if you're wondering what we are doing, for those who just joined us, we are doing a cloud architecting lab. It might look quite on the other side, but don't worry. You're going, a journey of 1,000 miles starts with the first step. So you're going to do something there. So what let me try and combine. I'll go to EFS, create file system. Then in the create file system window, I'll choose customize. Let me get to this point. Then on step 1 and check the enable automatic backups. So I'm just trying to disable automatic backups. I think this will really help in reducing costs. Then what is happening here? Lifecycle management, I'll choose none. There are other ways of lifecycle management. Then in the tags section, so it's very important to always tag your resources so that you understand. It's just like the way when you buy something in a supermarket, it is tagged so that you know its price. So same case in your resources, your infrastructure. It's very important for all that is there in the cloud, because you might be having different resources for different clients, or even for different purposes. So when you tag it, you're going to get it. So let's get to this first step. So what am I going to do? I'm going to also do a name and my first EFS file. So let's create the file system. This is the first step. The name, I think I'm going to leave it there. What am I supposed to do? Why am I seeing a different first step? I'll choose customize. Do you see in the create file system, I'll choose customize. So don't forget what you're supposed to do. I'll choose customize. And then you'll untick. So you just leave this. If you have not been told to do anything there, if you have not been told to do anything on the storage class, leave it the way it is. So you are unticking that. So you can see the reason why you are unticking it. Do you see this part? Additional pricing applies. So if you really don't need it, but for the case of our labs, we don't really need it. And so we leave it at that. And then we are going to do what? Lifecycle management. Also, I'll choose none. So it uses what we call intelligent tiering. So what lifecycle management is all about is you are trying to move your data to different classes that are depending on how the intelligence sees how long you've been accessed. I don't know whether your Android phone or maybe your smartphone tells you like you've not accessed this app for the last 100 days. Shouldn't you uninstall it? That is intelligent tiering. It's telling you if you can have an app on your phone for 100 days and you haven't opened it, then you no longer need that app. So that is how lifecycle management really works. Then performance mode. I think this one you're leaving the way it is. Throughput mode, you leave it as bursting. I'll not explain each of these. You should have already seen it in the videos or in the modules student guide. So under tags, I need to put name, and I call it my first EFL file system. Although I don't know whether for me it's my first one. I don't think it's my first one. For you, it will be your first one, maybe. Name. First, then I'll click on next. Step 2. Where are we with step 2? For VPC, I'll choose the lab VPC. I'll detach the security group from each availability zone mount target by choosing X on each default security group. Attach the EFS mount target security group to each availability zone mount target by selecting each security group's checkbox and choosing EFS mount target. A mount target is created for each subnet. Your mount targets should look like the following example. The diagram shows 2 mount targets in the lab VPC that use EFS mount target security group in this lab. In this lab, you should be using the lab VPC. Then I'll choose next. So I've understood what is here. So what I'm really doing is I'm actually ensuring that I'm in the right VPC, not the default VPC, and I'm also using the security group that we created. So I'll click on this, choose lab VPC. Under the mount targets, do you see the security groups at the default? And also see here, it is also default. So I'm supposed to remove this and also remove that. And then I'll choose the EFS mount target. And here I'll also choose the EFS mount target. So you can see what is happening here. Once you understand, for those who are doing cloud foundations, you're going to understand the difference between regions, availability zones, edge locations. So you can see we are having 2 availability zones. Remember, in the region, we are in region US East 1, if you see it here. But in the availability zone, you are in availability zone US East 1A, right? Then there's also another availability zone written US East 1B. So you can think of it like, let's say you're having 2 houses, maybe one house in Nairobi and another house, let's say in Nakuru. So you can either be available in Nairobi, or maybe your people can be available both in Nairobi or maybe in Nakuru, right? So, but when if something happens to your Nairobi house, your Nakuru house is not affected. But remember, all of that is in Kenya, right? You're all in Kenya. So the region is Kenya, but one house is in Nairobi, another house is in Nakuru, as an example. So that is how I can really explain to you this in layman language on what availability zones are. So I think that is what I was supposed to do. Then I'll click on next. Step 3, I'll choose next. I don't need to do a file system policy. It is optional. I've been told to click next. On step 4, I'll review my configuration, just check on everything that I've done. Then I'll click on create. I'm really seeing time is moving, but I can see I'm moving faster on this lab. So I've been able to create a new file. You have created a new EFS file system on your lab VPC and mount targets in each lab VPC subnet. In a few seconds, the file system state or the file system will change to available. So I think it has changed to available. Yes. Choose the screen refresh. You may need to scroll down, connecting to your EC2 instance. These instructions are specifically for Microsoft Windows users. If you're using Mac OS, skip to the next. So for details, so what I'll do above these instructions, click on the details drop down, and I'll choose show. And then I'll download the lab user PPK file. So you can see there's a SSH key, a PM, and a PPK. PM is usually mostly used in Linux. If you're using a Linux system or Mac OS, PPK is usually used for Windows users using PuTTY. So I'll download the PPK because currently I'm on my Windows. then what happens? Okay, some people are in the waiting room. Let me admit them all. So where am I? So I need to move faster so that I can serve the Cloud Foundations guys. So typically a browser saves the file in the downloads directory. So not the EC2 public IP address if it is displayed. Exit the details panel, choose by choosing X. So let's see, can we get the EC2 public IP? Let's see. Yeah, you can see it is here. EC2 public IP, I need to note this. So let me put it somewhere, somewhere here. So I've pasted it there. So it is always under details on your lab. Details, then you click on show. So exit the details panel by choosing X. To use SSH to access the public, you must use PuTTY. So you should have downloaded PuTTY. You can click on the link, but personally, I already have PuTTY. I'll do this. I have a number of devices, but let me just use this. Open PuTTY. To keep PuTTY session, configure PuTTY timeout, choose connection. Then seconds between keeper lives is 30. I put 30 as they've told you. Configure a PuTTY session by using the following settings. Choose session. Hostname, paste the public IP. I'll paste that. Okay, it had a space. Wow. I'll remove that. I'll remove that. So for those who have just joined us, we are finishing up on a cloud architecting lab, a guided lab. Then we get onto our Cloud Foundations lab. So don't worry, don't feel like you came a bit later, early for the next class, if I can call it that. So so I'll browse to that. So on the connections list, I'll go to SSH. Choose auth, but don't expand it. Then I'll choose browse. Good. I'll choose browse. Kindly don't do your videos and audios if you're not asking something. It distracts everyone and it distracts me too. Then I'll choose the wuser.ppk, and then I'll to trust and connect, choose yes. In a prompt to log in as, enter EC2 user, the action connects you there. So I think that is going to be easy for Windows. So once you added the PPK file under your SSH and under auth, I'll go to session and I think I'll choose open. When I'm asked to log in, I'll say accept. Was it to accept or connect once? Sometimes it's very important to follow the right instructions. To trust, choose yes. So I'll choose yes or accept. Let me just say accept. Login as, I'll type EC2. Most of the time, the default username for EC2 instances is that EC2 user. So I'll enter that. So you can see I'm already logged in. I'm logged in into the EC2. The moment you see this, and the moment you see the prompt looks like this, you are in. You are in the command prompt for that Linux EC2 instance. So this one is running on Amazon Linux 2. So I'm already logged in. If you're using Linux, the process is a bit different. You can also follow it up there. But let me skip that because I'm using Windows right now. Task 4, creating a new directory and mounting the file system. So in your SSH session, make a new directory. So I'll do sudo make mkdir. So if you're not familiar and you're doing cloud architecting, and you're not familiar with Linux, it's going to be a very difficult life for you. So it's better you brush up on that. So what I've just done is I've elevated my privileges by using sudo. I've used the mkdir command, which is a command to create a folder. And And then the folder name is called EFS. So if I do an ls just to list the file, I can see the folder called EFS here. So back in the AWS Management Console, choose EFS, choose my first EFS file system. In the Amazon EFS console on the top right corner, choose, as I told you, I try to combine steps. So I'll go to services, I'll go to EFS, I'll choose my first, and then I'll go on the top right corner of the page, I'll attach to open the Amazon EC2 mouse instructions, copy the entire command using the NFS, using the NFS client section. It will look similar to that, but don't copy this one. It is not this one. Then and then we do it. So let's mount. So it is here. Minimize that. Okay, I am here. You see I'm clicking on my first EFS file system. Then I'll attach. Then I'll say using the NFS client. You can see I'm being told to use the NFS client. So I'll copy this command. What does this command do? Elevate my privileges, use the mount command. The tag is NFS4. What is the object? It's going to have these properties, all these, the write size, the read size, the head, the timeout, the retrans, and all that. Now reserve port, and now also the name of the EFS. I mean the EFS file system. So, and the folder is EFS. You can see that. So it's going to be mounted on EFS. Good. Thank you, William. Thank you, William, for that. So you can use explainshell.com to understand Linux commands much easier. So you can see right now it may look like I'm taking you on a ride, but yeah. So I've right-clicked. It has pasted it on. When you right-click on footy, it just pastes what is in your clipboard. Then I'll press. I think that is where I'm supposed to paste it, right? In the SSH session. Yes. Then I'll press enter. So it is being mounted onto that folder. So what is happening is, you already know when you put a flash disk on your computer, it is mounted, then you're told open file, open view files. Do you know what happens? It is a mounting that happens when you're seeing like installing device, or maybe when you hear that sound, and then you can now see it on your computer. That is a mounting process that has happened on that file system of your flash disk. So that is basically what you're doing it, but you're doing it a bit more manually because it doesn't happen that automatically in a cloud system. So, so here you can get a summary of what has happened. So let's look at this. So we have something that has been mounted on. Okay, let me maximize it so that I understand it better. Okay, will I be able to? Let me just clear. Then I run it again. Copy. Yeah, so I think that now this makes sense for you, for me. So the file system, the type, the size, the amount, how much of the file system has been used, how much is available, and where it has been mounted. And let's look. My area of interest is this part, this line. So you can see the EFS file system that we created, which is an NFS4 of size that. You can see it has not been, no space has been used, but it has now been mounted. So you can see it is here. So examining the performance and behavior. So you can examine the right performance characteristics by entering that. So let me just copy that and I paste that. And you see, so it's going to run a process to see how it is doing the right performance. So you can see the FIO command takes 5 to 10 minutes. Wait, that's a lot. The output should look like the example in the screenshot. Then it will give you the status information for the right test. So I don't think I'll be able to wait for all that. Then I can monitor performance using cloud by using Amazon CloudWatch. So CloudWatch is usually used for monitoring. It has a lot of metrics. So I'll just type CloudWatch. So I'm moving fast for those. These are people who have done Cloud Foundation. So don't worry when you see me moving fast for them, and they'll review it on the YouTube if there's a challenge. And even ask me. So where are we? So I'll go to metrics, choose all metrics, then I'll go to EFS, choose file system, select the row that has permitted throughput, metric name to refresh, and be able to adjust the graph and see the period when you run the FIO command. So I'll go to metrics, all metrics. Don't know whether I'm able to see all this. That you can see now the disadvantage of putting them side by side. You don't see all the commands. So I'll go to metrics, all metrics. Then I'll choose EFS. Where am I? Yeah, all metrics. And then, yeah, there is the EFS tab here. It is small, so it is confusing me. Then I'll choose file system metrics, select the row that has the permitted throughput metric. So let me just maximize this. It's making my life so hard. So permitted throughput metrics, the row that has permitted throughput. Are you seeing it? Yeah, it is here, permitted throughput. So I'll select it. What am I supposed to do with it? Oh, yeah, so when I select it, do you see this graph appears, right? For example, if I chose bus credit balance, do you see it has changed? But if I unselect that and I select permitted throughput, so maybe I would need to refresh, but do you see something here? Permitted throughput was what? 104, 857, 600. And you can see it started around the time when I ran the command. The command, I think, is still running. Do you see it is still running? And I think it's almost finishing. Okay, although it's saying it here 51 seconds, but it's fine. You'll run it for a longer time for yourself. Then what else is here? The graph, choose drag. So I can see, do you see the part that you're saying is here? I can drag, I can zoom, whatever it is. If I want to look at it from a 1 hour perspective, I'll see it. You can see it is a bit more zoomed, and I can see all that. That is how you can be able to see some of you can analyze and monitor some of the metrics using CloudWatch. Okay, pointer should be 105. Scales, file base, pretty spiky. The all metrics uncheck. Select the data write IO bytes, so I can untick that. And I choose data write IO, and I can be able to see something. There's something here, 104, 1,047,424. What am I being told about that? I'm being told that choose the graphed metrics tab, graphed metrics. Yeah, here it is, graphed metrics tab. What am I supposed to do with it? On the statistics column, select sum, and the period column, I'll select 1 minute. So statistics, I'm choosing sum, and the period, I'm choosing 1 minute. So do you see what I'm getting? I'm getting a graphed metrics of how things have been with regards to the sum. Okay, so pose your pointer at the peak and divided by the duration. This gives you the throughput to your system during your test. So the throughput that is available scales as the file system grows. You can do those calculations and all that. then you can also check on the documentation of VFS. That is for CA for you. That is cloud architecting for you. So let me submit my work. I'm sure at least this time I'm not going to fail deliberately. Okay, submission recorded. I think I'm about to get my results. As a test student, that is. Okay. I got 15 out of 15. Awesome. I created the security group. I created the file system. I also did the FIO, flexible IO. I ran it. And you can see the testing report confirms that I did all these things. And at least I'm going to be told I finished that guided lab and I'm done with it. And when I go back to my to my modules, cloud architecting is interesting. It's quite interesting. I love the fact that it has challenge labs. When you go back to that, where was I? Was I doing? Or I did a more advanced lab. I mean guided lab. Yeah, it was this one, module 4. Yes, since we did this one, module 3. So the module 4 guided lab, you can see I have a tick for it. Yes, at least I'm done. I completed it. So they are up to you. Do the challenge lab. So for those doing cloud architecting, do the guided lab for also. I'll record myself doing the guided lab for RDS and share with you on the WhatsApp group. And then I'll also, as I told you, the challenge labs, I'm only doing one step, I'm not doing it the rest for you. Then I think I'll do module 5 and module 6. So cloud architecting guys, remind me, I send you that. Remember, cloud architecting, you should be at around module 7, 8 right now. So you can see modules, but I think we should, by next week, should be getting there. 7, 8, because remember we have, like, right now we are in week 2. Then we only have 3 weeks left. So you mean you have to do 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 14. I think it's up to 14. This bridging to certification is not really that much, but I think you can also, I think it's also part of it. There's a capstone project here, 15. So if you divide, how many of that? I started from 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15. So those are around 7, or let's say 8, and you have 3. So you should be able to do at least 3 modules per week if you're supposed to finish this in 5 weeks. So you should have already done 3 up to module 3, and you should be able to do 4, 5, and 6 in week 2, and then you get to 7, 8, 9, and so on and so forth. So that is cloud architecting, still fast-paced as always, but life goes on. So unless there's a question with regards to the cloud architecting, remind me to do the labs for, I think it is what? The module, the guided lab for RDS, the database, and also the guided lab for, is it? I don't think it's the VPC. And yeah, I think it's that one, 5 and 6. Creating a VPC. Yeah. And also there's this about VPC preparing connection. So I think that is that. Any questions? Any questions so far? Okay, I think we can. Okay, so this is where I now do crazy things to people. First of all, how many of you were in the cloud architecting class? Okay, I think there's William. Who else? I think, I don't know. As in the onboarding. I think there was Oliver. I saw him come in and out. Let me look at the people here. If I look at the people and I find crazy people who are here and haven't done anything, I obviously remove them from the course today, here and now, as we see. Sometimes I have to be that ruthless. so that people know the seriousness of what we do. I think people like Christopher know how these things go. Considering we all have things to do. So I think there was Leon. You can see has spent 1 hour 30 minutes, which is quite fine. Oliver is good, 4 hours. Richard 1 hour 13 minutes. Good. Really you are good. You are doing 7 hours so far, which is quite good. It means you have spent some good time on the platform. So I don't think there's anyone up for the removal there. So let me go back to Cloud Foundations. I think that concludes my cloud architecting. Let me go directly. So I thought of a break, but because of time, I'll not do a break. I'll go directly to Cloud Foundations. And we do IAM. Let me see, first of all, people who need to be removed and people who need to be added. I think, is there anyone who is doing Cloud Foundations and has not been onboarded onto the platform? So today I'm removing, like, you cannot have, I added these people on Saturday. They've never logged in. So what do? I deactivate. Okay, not deactivate. I actually delete, remove. Also remove. And when I remove, I don't come back. We meet in another life or in another cohort. Remove. Okay. I think some of you just joined, so I have no problem, but make sure you, for example, I can already see somebody like Michelle, like, I hope you're in the call. Just see how I'll be able to see things. I don't know that you're here. Yes, you're here. So I can already see you joined the lab, the AWS on 2nd, right? Today's on 5th, but you've only spent 2 minutes on the platform. That is crazy. You should do, with that rate, you're only going to finish when you are electing another president, and that cannot be allowed. Okay, I can see Elmas, quite good. You can see Elmas joined on, okay, I think they're not joined. I think this is the last time they logged in, right? I think, which is today. 6 hours so far, which is quite good. I think that is almost one of the highest. I think also Christopher is also here. Last I think was here yesterday at 1:50 p.m. has already done 13 hours. 13 hours on the platform. Some have not even even spent time. So they accessed the course on October 29th at 8:21 p.m. No activity at all. This is removal PAP. Who else is not having any activity? I think there's no one else. So I'll give a grace period, or just check on how people are accessing the course for this week. So let me just imagine that these people who have done 3 minutes, they are trying to understand things and everything. But anyone who will be having less than an hour activity next week, I'll also remove them. As I said, I'm usually not interested in numbers. I'm usually interested in completion rates. I would rather have a 100% completion rate, training only one person, and I'll still train that person with the energy that I'm using right now, rather than having 10 people who drain your energy and they make you, they don't match your commitment. Considering, it's a Saturday. I think when we started out at 7, I told you I think I've barely slept, I think around 3-4 hours, but I had to wake up early. I had the option to continue sleeping up until right now and just start the class now, but I didn't do that because I made a commitment. When I started the class, I know I made a commitment for the next 5 weeks. Every Saturday, I'll be waking up at 7 a.m. To do a class up until around 11. So that is a commitment I not only made to myself, I also check my schedule. I try to see whether I can do this, unless there's any unforeseen circumstances, all that is how it's going to be doing. So kindly make sure you match my commitment in this. So for those who have just onboarded, I understand why you haven't done, but I can see some of the people who are my students somewhere that are doing well, 2 hours, which is quite good, 3 hours, quite good. So kindly make sure I'm able to check the activity. So you can't lie that you're accessing. And the most important part is not really watching the videos, but watching my videos on YouTube. It is actually doing the course. Again, I'll also be doing a removal on the calendar invite, and I'll be remaining only with those who are in the course. I think over the course of next, or maybe the weekend, or maybe something of that sort. But let's go to cloud foundations. I love cloud foundation. The reason I love basic, because foundations are the key. They are the key towards being grounded. All the things that I know is because I ensure that I had a firm foundation on what I did. So that is why I really love going back to the basics and just taking the basics. So is there anybody who is in the call doing cloud foundations and has not been onboarded? Anyone doing cloud foundations and has not been onboarded? Anyone? Okay, we go on. So I believe by now you should have already done module 1. As I said earlier, for those who had not joined, the strategy is there are 2 ways. You can decide to watch the videos and get an understanding of what the TPMs are saying, or you can use the student guide. The student guide is a very good one. It really is like an undownloadable PDF of the course material for that module. So you can read through it, then you go through the knowledge check, and you're done with that module. You don't really have to go through the video, especially when you are in a place with low bandwidth, and maybe the videos might be frustrating to load. Just come to the student guide, open it. Once it loads, start reading through the contents. You can see all the PowerPoint is here. You can see introduction to cloud computing. What are the advantages? And I usually love the advantages because you can see what do you define? What is really cloud computing? What do you think? What do you think it means to you? So you can think of it and write a short sentence. What does really, there's usually this quote I love in cloud computing that says, cloud computing is just someone, it's not a computer in the cloud, it's just someone else's computer, or something of that sort. It's a quote that usually goes like that. So you can think, you can write. So what is defined? So cloud computing is the on-demand delivery. But remember, I'm not going to be doing this. I'm not going to be running the theory part of things. I'm going to be doing the labs during the live session because of the limited time, and you have more time. So remember the keywords here: cloud computing, on-demand, provided over the internet, and usually has the pay-as-you-go pricing. The same way like you have your tokens or anything. You pay as you go, I think, or something of that sort. As you use it, pay for it. So this is the definition, the Amazon way of defining cloud computing. And yeah, so you can see there's infrastructure as software. So you stop thinking about infrastructure as hardware and you start thinking of it as software. These days you have things such as Terraform used for deploying infrastructure using code and even monitoring and even terminating infrastructure. So this is how it was before, and you can just read all this. You can see it also has notes. So the student guide is like a self-contained document that has everything that you can use. But remember, it is not downloadable. So what are the key takeaways of the section? You should remember that it is on demand, is what we call IaaS, PaaS, infrastructure as a service, platform as a service, software as a service. The deployment models of cloud, which is hybrid, on-premise as well as private. But remember, it is not really economical for our time for me to go through this. But remember, these are the advantages. And always remember, usually appear in the cloud practitioner certification exam. such as trading capital expense, CapEx, over variable expense. So capital expense is usually called CapEx. You can see it's here. Variable expense, you can see is there. Massive economies of scale, you have benefit from that. And also you stop guessing capacity, because sometimes when you buy a think of like the laptop you bought or even the phone that you bought. Do you feel like it is not having enough capacity? Maybe you can put it in the chat. What do you think? Is it overestimated in terms of features or underestimated? The current phone that you have, or even the laptop, is it overestimated? You can put it in the chat. Is it overestimated or underestimated? And what do you think? If you had think of it like if you had bought a Samsung Galaxy A50 something, then you're told anytime there's a new version, your phone automatically becomes that version and it has more capacity. Tell me, put it in the chat. What do you think about your phone? Is it overestimated in terms of, did you overestimate its capacity and what you need, or did you underestimate? I'm waiting on you guys. As I said, this is an interactive session. I'm not a preacher. I'm not preaching these things. I'm expecting interaction. If I wanted to do it by myself, I would have done it as recorded, then I share with you the recording. So the reason why I'm actually doing this is because the live sessions is because I need to get feedback. So what do you think about your phone? Did you you can write over or under. Did you overestimate? Christopher, yours is underutilized. Why? What? Pesa mingi. You bought a phone that is underutilized. But sometimes that is true. Sometimes all of us maybe underutilize the features. Yes, so even first, as you're saying, you overestimated. Ruth, you buy based on the capital. You buy based on the capital. Underestimated. Adson, you underestimated. William, you underestimated because of the hanging. So you can see that is the issues that we have. Because what happens is when you're buying a phone, when it is new, and when that person is selling to you, most of the time they try to convince you to buy the phone that they've placed in front of your face, or or under your nose, or whichever way you can put it. But most probably it might not be the phone that you need. So you are actually gazing. Maybe you are gazing, okay, do I really need a 48 megapixel camera? But it tells you like, just check. Let's open it. Let's try to zoom in. Let's try to do this. Then you are convinced to buy that. Then months on, some of you get the hanging. It's hanging or something. Michelle, you're saying you underestimated. Wow. Did you underestimate because of capital limits, or maybe you had the money to buy a good phone and you just saw like those are the right features, but sometimes we underestimate because we are limited. Capital limits, yes, most of the time. Have you ever gone to a phone shop, then they show you different phones, but the moment you say your budget is 15,000, all those phones disappear, and they are now shown phones that are in that range. Then you're told, so you can see that person no longer cares about your need for the phone. They just want to close that sale. So they don't want you to go. They not tell you, oh, you have 15,000. Go get that. Go get the other. The other. Let's say if it's a 30,000 phone, go get the other 15,000. Then come back. Then puts the phones under back to the stock or back to the shelf, and so somebody is calling me. So let me close that. So I think I've connected my phone to but it's okay. So so they actually try to make sure they close it might be an emergency. But if it wasn't, this wasn't an emergency. I know who it is anyway. So you can see that is what really happens. So they try to make the sell. They ensure that you go away with a phone, but most probably you are going with a phone that really does not meet your demand. So can you just imagine if you had a phone that if you're, let's say I usually use Reno. So I bought a Reno 3. Right now I think it's at Reno 8. I usually see those features and I wish I could have that. But I can't just take my phone and say, hey, take this and give me the latest one. But with cloud computing, if technology changes, you don't even notice it. If you need more capacity and you set up scaling, it will be elastic, if I can say it, right? So let me just silence this. Let me decline. Okay, that is why. Do you see why I prefer doing things? Do you see why I prefer doing things early in the morning? People start, when they wake up, they start thinking of things you can do with them. Yeah, so that is why I prefer early morning. So you know that is also another work-related thing, but so I had to tell that person I'm in a class so that they stop calling me. So you go through this, you'll go through all these, you'll understand what it is, you'll stop, you'll add increase speed and agility, some of the advantages, you stop spending money running. Can you imagine maintaining a data center? You're paying for the air conditioning, you're paying for the power, you're paying for the space, you're paying for the infrastructure, and all that is maybe not enough. So gone are those days when we set up things on premise and doing all those heavy lifting, getting a data center team to manage things, unless you're a cloud provider. That is when you need that. But even big enterprises are stopping because of sustainability. They're stopping to do this. I don't want to go through all this, but the other advantage is go global in minutes. Very easy. You can just change to a certain region, deploy resources in that region, and you're good to go. So all these are some of the advantages, and they usually appear a lot in the certification exam for CCP. So it's very important to check them. And they don't appear as if the way advantages appear in these other exams, in these other normal exams. So make sure you check on that. So introduction to AWS, what are the services? There are usually some web services. What is usually AWS? It's a secure cloud platform. And all that, what it offers. What are the categories of AWS services? There is analytics services, application integration, AR and VR, blockchain, business applications, compute, cost management, customer management, database, developer tools, end user computing, game technology, IoT, machine learning, management and governance, media services, migration and transfer services, mobile, network content delivery, robotics is also there, satellite, security and identity and compliance services, and also storage services. So all the services in AWS fall in either of these categories. So you can see they have a very wide range of services. So you can see, look at, these are simple solution. How does it work? And these architectures are usually very important to show and understand. So that is how do you choose a service? It depends on the business goals. And that is where now when you become a solutions architect, you are able to match the business goals and the technology requirements so that your client makes the most of the cloud, so that the cloud doesn't become too expensive, and also it doesn't become anything. So these are some of the services that are covered in the course. all that under secure compute, under security, under storage, under database, under networking, under management, and also under cost management services. So there's many ways to interact with AWS. You can use the management console, which you've been using right now. Easy to use GUI. You have a command line. You also have SDKs that can be used. For example, you can access services directly using code such as Java, Python, and others through the SDKs. So these are the many way, the different ways. But when you're starting out, most of the time, you usually use the management console to understand this. I think it has made me run through this, and I didn't want to do it, but this one it is. There's something called the Cloud Adoption Framework. You can check it out. The 6 core perspectives, the business perspective, the people perspective, the governance perspective, the platform perspective, the security perspective of things, the operations perspective, and also these are some of the takeaways from that. That is the Cloud Adoption Framework. And that is the module summary. Then you now complete your knowledge check. So that is the student guide really helps you to do that. So I know that was rushed, but I'm not supposed to take you through the student guide or anything. But if you have any questions when you're going through the student guide, you can always reach out. Use the WhatsApp group or DM. Take advantage, don't make it too silent. I'll try to post materials that I usually get to have there. Also, I would advise you, Google AWS Cloud Quest and register for it. On the Cloud Practitioner version of Cloud Quest is for free. The others you pay for them. So just Google AWS Cloud Quest, get onto it, register for it, and you can see try the Cloud Practitioner for free. Click on that, get to Skill Builder, and be able to do a lot. Yeah. So it is a gamified way of doing things. And it really, really is a very good way of learning through gamification. So module 3, IAM, I think I'm going to rush through this so that I finish by 30 or 45. So let's look at introduction to AWS IAM. IAM is under security and compliance. So remember, also something else that appears in the exam a lot is the shared responsibility model. Remember, AWS is responsible for the security of the cloud, but you are as a user, you are responsible for the security in the cloud. So always look. You can also Google and look at a picture showing what you are responsible for and what you are not. What AWS is responsible for, because you share the responsibility. You can see this diagram is usually a very good example. So you are responsible for your security in the cloud, but AWS is responsible for security of the cloud. So AWS is responsible for the software, for the compute, storage, database, and networking software, the hardware, the AWS global infrastructure, the regions, the availability zones, the edge locations. So you might get some questions that tells you whose responsibility is this? Whose responsibility is it to maintain the software in data centers, or maybe to change the hard disks in an AWS, or to make sure that an availability or a region or an availability zone that has gone down is up. That is obviously the responsibility for AWS. But what about who is responsible for encrypting their files and ensuring that they are secure, whether you have stored them in the S3 bucket or even the firewalls or the security groups? That is the customer. So always take time. I would advise you to go through this link in a lot of detail and understand the AWS shared responsibility model. There it is. So let's get onto it. I've done a lot. I don't like doing theory. It makes my head spin. When I run it online, I prefer the practicals, but at least that was important. So where are we? Am I in CA or CF? This is CA. Is this CF? This is CA also. So let me close these CA sessions. because I'm done with that. So this lab, okay, I need to go as a test student. So I need to go back first. I'll choose the student view so that I see it the way you see it. And then I'll go to that lab. This is CA. I need to go to student view on CF. This is also CA. I think I should go back here. Yeah, I need to go to CF. Let me close the CA, the CA. Now I'm on CF, I'm hope. Let me go to student view. Then I go to the lab on IAM. IAM stands for Identity and Access Management. Think of it like right now. Can you just go to State House and just get onto the door and you'll be allowed to go inside? The State House, if you're in Kenya, you can't. You have to have some clearance level to get into State House. But let's say you are a newly appointed CS. Think of the many CS who are here, who have been appointed. And then you go there with your motorcade and you are the CS maybe for ICT, and you're about to enter State House. Most probably you'll be allowed to go in because your credentials show that you have the capability of meeting the president anytime he calls upon you. You might know it might be you need him, or he has called upon you to go there and answer some queries, or maybe get into some brainstorming session or something of that sort. So that is a real life application of identity and access management, because I need to know who you are, then I need to know what kind of access. Even the CS themselves, when they get into State House, there are some rooms they cannot enter within State House. Maybe they can enter the boardroom, the visitors room, but they cannot go to the bedroom of where maybe Ruto sleeps or wherever the president is. So so that is also another thing. You can see there's also different levels. Even if you're inside, there are also other levels. So I hope you're getting it. I hope you're understanding what identity and access management is. So you can see what this lab is all about. And I have a challenge. I want to put someone on the eyes, just that I saw William dropped off. I wish I could have put him on the spot to do this lab with you guys. Anyone here who has done, is Oliver here? Christopher, have you done this lab? I believe you've done it, right? Or you don't want to be put on the spot? Maybe you can put it, or you can unmute and say whether you've done the lab. I believe you're the one with the most hours in the course. And you had a friend, I don't know, it's who was to join us, and I don't know whether she was able to join us. Christopher, you're lying to me. Anyway, you couldn't have spent all those hours and you haven't done the lab. Anyways, but maybe you are doing the theoretical part of things. So let's look at this. Let's look at this architecture. You have your AWS account. You have 3 users, user 1, user 2, user 3. And you also have 3 groups, EC2 admin, who has a different policy, EC2 support, and S3 support. Before I run this lab, I'd like us to take, let's say, a 10-minute or a 15-minute break. I come back at 12:30 so that I can do something here. 12 and 11, okay, 12, okay, up until, so that when I come back at 12:30, we do the lab together. But again, I would advise, if you're using your laptop, kindly go to this lab click on Start Lab and start on the steps. So let it provision. And then once it is ready, you'll be able to do it. So let's do this. Let's get this. Let me do a 15-minute. Timer. Then I'll be back to do the lab in 15. So do it that, so we'll be back in 15. Okay. Let's see what we can do. We have some 2 minutes to spare, but I think I can get on with it. So you can see my lab status is ready. Can you see my screen? Can you confirm that you are back? You can just say I'm here, or maybe you can just say clear. You can hear me. Then you can do this lab. Awesome, Christopher, Elmas. What about the others? Kindly confirm. Hudson, what about Hudson, Faith, Festus, Ruth, Michelle? Hope you're good and you're here. Oh, good. Thank you, Faith. Okay, so let's get on with this. How many of you are doing this lab together with me? Like you've opened it and you're doing it like as I'll be doing it, or maybe you've even gotten to some places, some areas. Anyone who's doing it with me? Okay. If there isn't, I'll run it even faster. That's fine. So what we'll do is we'll explore some pre-created IAM users and groups. So there's going to be some users who have been pre-created for us, as well as groups that have been pre-created. So we'll explore them and examine. We'll also inspect the IAM policies that have been applied. For example, we're going to expect that in the admin EC2 admin group, IAM policy okay, Hudson, it's okay. Is to EC2 view start and stop instances. For the EC2 support, they only have read-only access, but for S3 support, they have S3 read-only access. Sure. So we'll follow our real scenario of adding users to groups with specific capabilities enabled, locating and using the IAM sign-in URL, experimenting with the effects of policies on service access. And one thing you should be able to know that IAM can be used to manage users as well as their access, together with, let's say, multi-factor authentication devices, their access keys and passwords. It's very important. One of the key things about AWS is that you're not supposed to use your root user account to do any kind of programmatic access. It's better you create a user, an IAM user, then you use that user to do some activities. So the root account is usually the account that you registered the AWS with. But after that, you can create not only, so users have like more permanent access, roles are a bit more temporal. It's similar, but in that identity with permission that determine the identity. However, instead they can, instead of being uniquely associated with one person, a role is intended to be assumable by anyone who needs it. So think of it like right now, we can have the role of the educator. Like right now, I'm taking up that role. Any of you, once you finish this course, you can move from just being a student and take up the educator role. In another instance, I can be the student, right? So it means that being a student is not fixed to maybe Hudson or whoever is in the call. It's a role that it's a role you take up, then you can get out of. Sure. So let's get on to this. We did the lab, start. So let's explore the users and the groups. So I'll click on AWS. Once I get the new tab, okay, I need to log out. I'd forgotten to log out of the other one. You have to log out of the other one, then you get to this one. Add it to the side, put this one to the side to make your life much easier. Remove this side panel. Try to zoom it a bit like that. So we're going to search IAM on the services. The best way is you click on the search IAM. Here it is. I'll go to the I'll go to the users. I'll choose users. as well. I'll be able to see that some 3 users. I should be able to see this because during the creation of the lab, they were pre-created for us. Okay. Let's get on with this. Let's get on with this. Not going to take us too long. So you can see I'm seeing 4 users. So let's click on users. Okay, you can click on users there, or you can come and just click on users on the side panel. But let me see. So this one I think is for my access to the lab. Then you have the user 1, user 2, and the user 3 as per the lab. I'll choose user 1 to get a summary page, and the permissions tab will be displayed. So you can see the user doesn't have The user doesn't have any permissions yet. Get started by adding the user to a group, la la la. Notice that choose the groups tab, and you see the user is not a member of any groups. So you can see, choose the security credentials tab, and you see user 1 is assigned a console password. Let's look at that. So you can see, so console password really helps you to access the AWS console, so that you don't really need to use the management console, but you can use, you can access it using maybe, let's say, command line, the CLI. So that is how it works. So let's see, in the navigation pane on the left, choose user groups. So the navigation pane is, I think, should be this one. You can see the things about zooming things. I think I should go this way, and I should do that way. And then I go to what? I go to user groups, and I should be able to see 3 groups: an EC2 admin group, an EC2 support, an S3 support. If you remember, these groups have different IAM policies attached to them. EC2 admin can be able to see EC2 instances, start them and stop them. And then the EC2 support has an IAM policy to read-only access. S3 support read-only access to S3. And we are going to assign user 1 to the S3 support, user 2 to EC2 support group, EC3 to EC2 admin group, and then you're going to try to access services and see whether you are allowed or disallowed from accessing them. So I'll choose I need to go to user groups. Here it is. I show you the 3 groups. So I'll also share a link where I have done this lab in a more detailed. Right now it will look a bit rushed, but there's a lab that I did in another cohort that I did this. So if you feel it is a bit rushed, don't worry. I'll also be doing that. I'm doing that because of the essence of time. I respect time a lot. I usually say you always start at 7:30 and end at 11. And I also will be having another session, online session at 11. And I wouldn't want, at the top of the hour, that is, I wouldn't want to start it up late. So if you feel it rushed, don't worry. And you can always ask. So I'll choose the EC2 support group, as I've been told. So it will give me the summary of the group. I'll choose the permissions tab, and I can see it as a managed. So there's something called managed policies, and then you have customer policies. So AWS managed policies are the policies that have been created by AWS, and then you can just use them. So and the way they are going to be updated, or maybe how they work, you can see that they are pre-built, and they either be built by AWS or your administrators. And then the policy is updated, the changes apply against all users and groups that are attached to the policy. So you can see that is how it looks. So I'll click on the plus sign icon beside it so that I can be able to see the JSON. You can see that it defines what a policy is. Effect, which is to either allow or deny. There's usually only 2 options there. Actions is what are the API calls that can be based against that service. And then we have the resource, which is the asterisk can mean any resource, or you can be very specific on the exact resource you want, either an S3 or an EC2 instance. What else? I'll choose the minus icon to hide the policy details. The navigation, I'll choose user groups again to get back. And then I'll get to the S3 support. Again, you can close this. And then you can see no users assigned yet. Under permissions, I can see the AWS Manager of S3 read-only access policy name already been assigned to this group. And I can see it as allow to get lists for S3 object S3. So choose the EC2 admin group. I'll go back again to user groups, and then I'll close this up, and then I'll go to EC2 admin. And I can see under permissions here, if I go to the notice something here. This one is customer inline, right? So what is this? It has an inline policy, which is a policy assigned to just one user group. Inline policies are typically used to apply permissions for one-off situations. So remember, inline policies mostly one-off situations. So so let's look at it, the JSON. So to describe, to start, and to stop instances. The resource is all the resources. Effect is to allow that. So business scenario. So let's say you are in a company which has started using AWS, and they have many EC2 instances and also have a great deal of S3 storage. So you wish to give access to new staff depending upon their job function. So let's say a new staff has come in, they are going to work as a support staff for S3. They'll be there. They've been given account user 1. And another staff is coming in to work as a support staff for EC2. And then another staff, maybe who has always been there, is having the EC2 admin role. And these are the permissions. So how do you add users to groups? So I'll add user 1 to the S3 support group. So I'll go to user groups again, and then I'll choose the S3 support. I'll go to users tab, which is this. I'll add users here. Remember, when it appears like this, you just close it. And then I'll select the user. I've been told to add user 1. So I'll add user 1, add users very fast. It's very easy. I'll repeat the process for user 2, EC2 support. So I'll go to EC2 support group. So this is the disadvantage of using side by side, because you have to continue closing. EC2 support. Then EC2 support, I'll add who I'm adding user 2. I'll select user 2, and then I'll add users. Then I close this menu. EC2 support as user 2. Then user 3, I'm adding EC2 admin. EC2 admin, I'm adding user 3 to EC2 admin. So I'll go to the user group for EC2 admin. And then I will add user 3 there. So these users were pre-created for us during the lab creation process. So, but you can still create users by yourself when you're in your account and see how the process works. So I've done that. Then I'll now start signing in and testing the users. And I think I'll be able to check what they can do and what they can't do. Then I'll complete the lab. So let's look at signing in the users. So let me do this first. Oh, my video has been off, but it's fine. It's okay. So in the navigation pane on the choose dashboard, I'll choose dashboard. An IAM user signing link will be displayed on the right. On the right, let me maximize my, yeah, so you can see it is now appearing after so it is here. Sign in, so I'll copy it. You can copy it here. sorry about that. Let's finish up with this. So where are we? We have added the users to the groups. So that means that the users have assumed the roles of that group. So we are now signing in. So we have the sign in URL. Where do you access it? On the right. If you never saw it, it was here under AWS account on the dashboard. You can see I'm under dashboard and I am. And here it is. This is my account ID, and this is the sign in. If you look at it well, usually just this that has been put here. The account id.signin.aws.amazon.com/console. But to make life easy, we just copy the sign in URL. So the same URL can be used by different users. Think of it like the way Google has. You have a login account, a Gmail, and different users access it in different ways. So I will copy it into a text editor as I've been told. There it is, just in case I need it some time and I'll have copied something else. I'll open a incognito window. You are given options for different browsers. For mine, since it's Chrome, I'll click on the 3 dots and I'll choose new incognito window. Here it is. I don't know if it's available on if you're seeing it. Can you confirm that you can see it? Kindly confirm that you've seen incognito. Thank you, Elmas. What about the others? Kindly let's be interactive. Sure. Okay, thank you. Thank you, Hudson. So where are we? So we paste the link here and press enter. Then you're going to sign in with user 1 and the password is that. So we're going to just copy and paste that. So what does user 1 have before you even get to what? Let's go to the diagram. User 1 has S3 support. So the user 1 has only S3 read-only access. That means they don't have access to EC2 services. So I think we're going to check on whether user 1 can access S3 and only do read-only. And then we go to the other users just like that. So let's go to user 1, like that. The password is lab password 1. Remember the account. Okay, let me not click on remember, sign in. So you can see I'm now in. I don't know why it's taking me to AP Northeast 1. So always be mindful of the region that you are in. So let me just see whether I can just go to EC2. I mean US East 1. Always be mindful. So I'm back in the right region. So you can see it takes you to a bit of a tour. This is how you do it. Then blah, and good. So you can see do you see what is happening here? User 1 at my account ID. That is the console access. So I'll go to S3. I'll just search S3 here and see whether I have read access. So I'll choose a bucket that has been pre-created for us to test that access. S3 stands for Simple Storage Service. So there's a sample bucket here. So choose the name in the account and browse the contents. I can see it doesn't have anything. the bucket does not contain any objects. Now test whether they have access to EC2. So it is clear that it's deliberate that it doesn't have anything, but let's look at whether they can access EC2. Okay, the menu will appear, but you'll see a lot of errors. Think a number of errors, which is deliberate. Do you see? Yeah, what I was telling you, API error, API error, API error. These are deliberate. It means that this person does not have the ability to see how many instances are running. So all these details, they cannot access it. So if I go to instances, do you see what I'm getting? You are not authorized to perform this function the way you're being told. So the person in S3 support cannot come and mess up with things on the EC2 side. So that is how you do it. Then sign user one out of the management console by completing that. So you click on the account that, then you click on sign out. And then I don't know if I'll paste out that is lab password one. I think I'll go back to, I'll still go back to, I'm trying to look for the sign-in link. I think it was this one. It's already logged in. Let me go back to getting it here. But it is here. So I paste lab. Okay, this one is lab user 2, lab password 2. User 2, lab password 2. So what does the user 2 head? Who remembers? User 2 head is it EC2 support? So they can actually see. So let's click on, let's just get the sign-in link. Bring me a lot of issues. And don't forget that you should check the region. When you open private window, it can default to the wrong region. For example, I can already see AP Northeast 1. Let me see whether I can just do this and make my life easier. User 2, lab password. Oh, okay, well, that was a sign-in link. Is it lab password 2? Let me copy it from here. And I log in. So it's still taking me to it's US East 1. So I can already see. The easiest way to know the region you are in, I usually look at this part of the URL. It makes my life very easy. I already know whether I'm in Greater or North Virginia, the US East 1, which is where the academy labs run from. In the navigation, choose instances. So I'll go to EC2. Let's see something here. Do you see now I'm not getting those errors. I'm seeing the values. And I go to instances on the navigation pane. I can be able to list and I can be able to see there are some 2 instances which are running already. A Bastion host and a lab host. Then in the navigation menu above, select stop. So we already know that this person cannot do this. So let's see, can they really do it? Instance state, stop instance, stop. Do you see what? A big error appears. Failed to stop. You are not, the keyword here is you are not authorized to perform this function, right? So the person in EC2 support cannot stop an instance. They can only see the ones that are there. So I think the last one is to sign out and see whether somebody can stop an instance who is the EC2 admin. So again, I'll copy the link, the sign-in link, paste it there. If it defaults to AP Northeast 1, which is Tokyo, I will just take it back to US East 1. Here now I'm about to get to user 3 and lab password 3. user 3. So most of the time, you're not going to name your users user 1, user 2, user 3. They'll be even having their own names, like Kevin or whatever. So this is just for the lab purposes. So again, I'll go back to EC2. Since it is under recently visited, I'll just click there. And I'll see on lab hosts. You can see I only have 2 minutes to go. That is fine. Select, and then under instance state, I'll stop the instance. And was I supposed to stop or terminate? Okay, it's stop. Okay, stop. So do you see it has worked? Successfully stopped, and the instance ID is given there. So lab host. So choose stop instance and close. So you can see, and after that, I've been able to finish the lab. What does that really mean? It means that I need to, okay, do I need to, I think for Cloud Foundations, I don't know that you have to submit. I don't think it has that feature. So yeah, so I think that with that you are done. You don't have to have the feature of something sorting up and maybe submitting. So you can, once you're done and you've filled, you're done. So you've been able to do this. What have we been able to do? We're able to explore the pre-created users and groups. We also inspected the IAM policies that have been applied to the pre-created groups. We followed a real scenario where we are adding users to groups. Then we have located and used the IAM sign-in URL. Then we have experimented the effects of the policies on service access. That is what we've really done. So I think with that, I can call it a session. And as part of your task for the coming week, kindly make sure, let me leave the student view. Kindly make sure, let me go to modules. Kindly make sure you complete, remember you're having 10 modules and you have 5 weeks. So it means that at minimum, you should have finished 2 modules per week. So since we started last week, module 1 and 2 needs to be completed, which doesn't have any labs. Module 3, which is all about global infrastructure, and module 4, which I've done the lab for, which is the lab for AWS IAM. So you should do that at least by the end of this week. You should have been done together with the knowledge checks. Don't forget the knowledge checks. Then next week, you're going to look at building a VPC and launching a web server. But you can go ahead and do it. And also going to do this other lab on EC2. So kindly make sure you come in early so that we do. And you also continue on with your learning on the platform. Again, I'll be checking. And as I said earlier, I'll be disengaging people who are not taking part. So if you are going to see anyone who has spent less than an hour, not even an hour, I think you should have already spent like 2-3 hours on the platform, I'll actually disengage you. I cannot be the tutor. I have 2 hours on the platform, and you are having 5 minutes or 9. Okay, this one is understandable because you've just joined today. Yeah, so you can see. So kindly make sure you have your. I can be able to see the last time you ever logged in. For example, you can see John Maura. Is this person here? This person deserves removal, but I'll give them a grace period. I'll check. If I see October 29th at somewhere in the middle of next week, I'll remove that person. You cannot be still, the last time you accessed the course is last month. We have already 5 days into November, and you think you're going to finish the course in time. I would rather remove you from the ship before you sink the ship. So I'm very serious on that. I'll share the link. Also, let me just share it with you. I hope I was live. I think I was. Yep. So let me share the live. Somebody can also share it on the WhatsApp group if you're accessing through your phone. Kindly paste that for me. And I think I'll update the calendar with what we have done today, as well as what we should do maybe later on. Unless there's any question, I think I'll leave it at that. Unless there's any question. If anyone is here, welcome, Unia. So welcome. Yes, Ruth.
My concern was when it comes to AWS managed services and policy stuff, like
Yes. Please do go on. Go on. Sorry. Ruth? Hello.
Yes, I was.
Yes. Go on.
Yeah, my question was on AWS Managed Services.
Yes.
Like, do companies or organizations have that flexibility? Or are you getting me?
Yes. Do companies have the flexibility?
I don't know why I'm getting an echo back.
It's okay. I'm getting you clearly.
Okay. Do companies and organizations have that flexibility of adjusting the policies like they want, or they are just subjective?
Yeah, they have. That is why let me see how I can do this. I can demonstrate it for you a bit. So let me show you. Don't know. Let me go to my AWS account, which is a bit not like a lab account. Let me just hope you can see my screen. Let me go to my AWS personal account so that I show you this. I can show you how it would be for a company. So a company has what we call even AWS organizations, where they can bring together different AWS accounts into one organization. Then they can take advantage of discounted or volume pricing. So let me sign in. I've saved my password, but I have two-factor authentication. Let me just get it somewhere. So two-factor authentication, you have to put it on your personal account. My account has ever been breached one time, and it was a very big issue that it took a lot of weeks for me to solve together with AWS. So be very serious about the security of your AWS account. Okay, so this is my account. I don't know, let me load it. So the reason I'm using my account is my account doesn't have limits the way your like a lab can. So if I go to, let's say, IAM, so you can see under here, you can see it's my account. I think I deleted users for security purposes, but I'm going to show you something here. I deleted a number of users who had programmatic access. Okay. User groups. Okay, so you can see I only have one user. You can see some of the security recommendations. I've already fulfilled them. I have multi-factor authentication, and I also have no active access keys. So what happens for an organization? Let's say my account is account for, let's say, company X. So company X is now thinking of, like, we are a company of five technical people and maybe the management. And the 5 technical people have different roles. Maybe one is a developer, one is in support, one is in maybe a database administrator, another one is a network administrator, and so on and so forth. So I'll need to create maybe a user for each of them. So what will I do? I'll go to users, and then I'll create a user. I'll say maybe add users. You can see I have one user called admin amplify ABS. You can see I never used it. I can even decide to delete that user. And I think, come to think of it, let me just delete it so that I show you how it works. Let me delete that. I don't think I'm using it. You can see when I used, the last time I logged in with that is 77 days ago. So let me just delete this user. Can just delete, then I call it Kevin Tui. So I can just remove an IAM user like that. So you can see, then when I go to add users, I really hope I haven't messed up something that is working on my system. My system is also working on production workloads. So let's call that user Ruth. And then let's say the user has password access. Let's say a custom password. Then I can put a password that I can only remember. So user must create a new password. Let me not just say that. And I go to next. Then do you see this part? Add user to group or copy existing permissions from the user if I have permissions, or attach existing policies direct. So you can get some existing, for example, I can give the user admin access. You can see which is what I would need so that I don't, let me not call it root. I might need it later. So I don't have to be logging in with root. Let me just call it K2A or something. I might need it later. So next. Did I write K2 or K2A? It's fine, K2A. Then I give it administrator access, but it's very dangerous. Don't just put that, all that. You can try to look for the exact access, but this one you just want to use it for another thing so that you don't have to use the root account. I can put a tag if I want for the, for example, I can say department for this is, let's say marketing. So I know that this user is from the marketing department. So let's say also give it programmatic access. Here is the programmatic access key. So programmatic access will help me log in, put those credentials onto let's say Visual Studio Console. Visual Studio has called an AWS toolkit, and I can add the account there, and I can put the resources. But that is something I can show in a later class because of time. I'll show you how you can connect AWS onto your, I don't even know which this account this is. You can even look at the S3 buckets that are there. And you can even create, you can see Udagram shakes, Udagram to recap. I think this one was when I was doing a certain cloud developer Udacity course. Anyway, create user. So I now create the user. So the user has administrative access. So you can see I as a, for example, if I'm company X, you can say I can even download a CSV of the access key and the access ID. I can send the login instructions to somebody or something of that sort. So many users, you can do that. Then what you are asking was, the companies have flexibility with regards to the policies? And the answer is obviously yes. Why? Because they are the ones who understand their employees, right? So when you go to policies, you can see, do you see this part? You can use the pre-created policies, which AWS has for job functions or AWS Manage, or you can create a policy yourself. So when you click on create policy, let's look at how that screen looks like. So do you see, you'll choose a service. Let's say let me choose EC2, or you can even, if you don't want to use the visual editor, you can go back directly to JSON and type the exact policy here. And you can even import a manage policy and now customize it. Let's say I'm importing administrator access, and then I import it. Do you see? So it is action allow on action all resource all. You can see that. So this one can be overly permissive. So I'll remove these and maybe add something else and according to what I want. But if you're not familiar with the JSON, no worries. Remove that, delete that, go to the visual editor, choose the service you want. For example, I can choose, okay, if I want to do all the services, it's okay. You can say all the services, resources, all resources, and then I'll change the conditions, and then I'll change. So that is how you do a policy. Then you now assign the policy to either a user, or you can assign the policy to a group. Then you assign the user to a group. The best practice is to actually create a group, then assign policies to the group, so that you assign users to the group, so that even if you remove a user, you'll not have to recreate. So, or even a role, you can even use roles. So they have user groups, we have roles, and also we have the users themselves. So I don't know whether this really answers you. There's a lot in the documentation with regards to how to do the policies. So there's a guide here on how you can do policies. And I think you can try it out with the Learner Lab. And there's a lot of flexibility with what you can do with IAM. So there's a lot of flexibility. You can be sure of that. So I think that is that. I think at least through your questions that you've enabled me to create an administrative user that maybe I'll be using it for my programmatic access. You can see in my EC2, I'm running some production workloads for some clients. Let me see whether although I'm not supposed to share, I don't know whether it's going to show who it is for. You can see I have this one, I have an automation LAMP stack, LMS, but others that are not running. So yes, I think that is that. Let me sign out for security purposes. And then I get out of that, I get out of that, I get out of that, close that, close that, close that. Yeah, so I think that is it. So kindly do your labs, do your learning. The only way you can get better is when you practice. You're not supposed to. You're free to do the lab as many times as possible. You're not limited to doing it once. Even if you do it and you pass and you feel like you didn't get it well, you can just do what? You can just ensure that you repeat it over and over again. Trust me, in the only way I've been able to be good at what I share is by me trying out the labs more often than not. So what I would advise you is think outside the box, especially if you are doing the labs. For those who have actually gone through up to week 3 with me, I will add them to a Learner Lab, which is a space where you can try out your own things as per the limits of the AWS Learner Lab policies. But that will be for those who have already shown commitment and have seen them do a lot. I don't want to add people for resources that they don't deserve. So that said, don't forget to enroll onto Cloud Quest, Cloud Practitioner, or using Skill Builder. Check on twitch.tv/AWS. It's a very good place where AWS puts, you have AWS experts who work at AWS, share their experiences. They also share what you can do to pass the different exams. Just get to Twitch and see what they have to offer. And even different conferences when they happen, they usually streamed through their Twitch channel. So if you don't have a Twitch account, create one, follow them, follow AWS, and it's going to be well. So I really hope that some of you are also working towards, when you're doing this course, you are working towards getting the CCP certification, Cloud Practitioner. It really helps you a lot. It really shows that it validates your understanding of what the AWS services are. And don't stop at that. Follow the certifications according to the path that you want. Get to maybe solutions architect professional, get to a certain, do some 2 or 3 specialty certifications. And trust me, apart from the certifications, as you get the skills, you'll be well, good to go. For AWS Academy, I think what you get is a 50% off voucher when you finish the course. I'm really not sure whether you can get an 100% off voucher currently. There was a time when I was running the cohort and AWS had what we call a Sub-Saharan Africa Challenge, and they were giving 4,500 vouchers of 100% off to do the Cloud Practitioner exam. So I think some people who benefited was like William, and I think there was a guy called Leon, and a number of people who actually told them. I think even, I don't know whether Richard, I think Richard is also part. Those who are actually now getting into the cloud architecting. So unless we follow up, but Ruth, I think there's an opportunity for ladies. I don't know which one is usually called what. Ladies have a lot of advantage. Let me just share my screen. Let me show you something. So when you go to this, I think it's called AWS She Builds. AWS She Builds. So you can see, I don't know whether there's something running right now. It's called AWS She Builds. I think, let me just copy this link for you. in that one. So you can see, I think date is to be determined, but you can register. I think when you register, you can put your first name and all these, then you submit. I think when there's something coming up, they usually give you. So I think you even get a voucher when you do it. So that one is also, there's a lot of opportunities out there. And also there's, I think, a specialty challenge, AWS specialty certification, specialty challenge. Although specialty, I would not advise you to do specialty yet, if you haven't even done cloud practitioner. They started on October 3rd. So you're going to get a 50% voucher off towards your total cost for your specialty. So it starts from October 3rd and it will end in December 6th. And these are some of the specialty. The security, personally, I'm about to focus on this, the security specialty. And I also want to do the data analytics specialty. Remember also AWS Academy has courses that are aligned to this specialty. So yeah, you can, once you get to a point, you can, these are the 6 specialties within AWS. So I think that is that. So I think that pretty much covers it. I'll end the recording. If you have any challenges, always reach out to me. So